AITA for telling my wife to kick out her friend, who's been living with us for the past month after her husband kicked her out. My M45, wife's friend Zell, F32, has been living with us for the past month after her marriage imploded about a month ago. Zell came to our country about 3 years ago on a work visa. She was working for a company and met my wife Molly, F43, at a work event. Molly and Zell became quick friends as Molly used to do social work, and she found Zell's story to be very moving and interesting. Zell started dating this guy I'll call Ed, M35, who had recently launched a company in her field. She left her original job and started working for Ed, and not long after that, they got married. Zell's job became pretty cushy. So instead of working, she went back to college to pursue a career in social work, and since Molly had experience in this, she became a sort of mentor for Zell. With Ed funding Zell's education and living expenses, it seemed like everything was set for her. Fast forward to mid-August, and Ed found out Zell had been cheating on him for several weeks with one of her classmates. Ed immediately cut funding for Zell's education and kicked her out of his house. The prenup Ed had her sign left her with absolutely nothing, effectively making her penniless and homeless. On top of that, Ed has spread the story across their community, and as such, Zell's reputation is in tatters, and her family back in their home country wants nothing to do with her, supposedly. The divorce hasn't been finalized at the time of this writing. With the resources he has, I imagine Ed could speed up the process, but for whatever reason, it's dragging on. With seemingly no one to turn to, Zell came to us, and Molly welcomed her one day while I was at work. Since then, she has been living in our basement. Molly spends a lot of time now just talking to Zell and trying to help her get her life back on track. So much so that it is starting to affect our personal lives. And I feel like childcare has been made exclusively my responsibility for most of the week. Not only that, but since our gym equipment is in the basement, I had to stop working out, which has adversely affected my own mental health. I've been very annoyed about the entire situation, but have largely borne it in silence until last night. Right before bed, Molly started going on about how the divorce could take months and that we need to find Zell a lawyer. At this stage, I told her that Zell had overstayed her welcome and needed to leave. It got pretty heated, and my wife said I was being shockingly unempathetic. I told her she was ignoring her responsibilities to our children, which deeply offended her. In the end, I told her that as a compromise, we could buy Zell a plane ticket back to her home country, so she could be with her family. Molly was so upset at this for whatever reason, and just responded with goodnight. We haven't spoken since then, partially because I decided to go work in my office today, since I needed a break from Molly's nonsense. I honestly don't know what to do at this stage. I just want that woman out of my home. AITA? Update. 15 hours later, and I still haven't really spoken to my wife. Partially because I was at work all day, but also because I was hoping she'd reach out first. When I got home, Zell was still hanging around like nothing happened, though I guess expecting her to magically leave would be asking for too much. Before the day is done, I will talk to my wife about her situation again, because it needs to end. Also, for those wondering, the classmate won't have her either. According to my wife, he told Zell that his personal life would be destroyed if he tried pursuing anything with her, so he ended things abruptly. To my understanding, he has a wife who doesn't even know he cheated. Update 4 days later. I haven't had the chance to update my post because the last few days have been particularly hectic for family. To sum things up, I did reach out to Molly on Sunday, and we managed to patch things up. Since we hadn't spoken for more than a day at that point, I decided not to push the Zell issue any further right then. Fast forward to early Monday morning, and we get a call from Molly's sister. Apparently, their father had a serious fall in the bathroom during the night, and their whole family is flying out to check in on him. Molly booked her flight soon after the news and left yesterday, Tuesday/24th. She hasn't booked a return yet, but I'm guessing she'll be gone 10 to 15 days, depending on the severity of her father's injuries. In the meantime, I've been totally swamped with work and taking care of the kids, but Zell has offered to help out where she can. This morning, she made breakfast for all of us and even packed lunches for me and the kids, so I don't really have any complaints at the moment. Last night, she did some laundry and straightened up the living room and playroom as well. So far, I'm pleasantly impressed and figure I'll keep my mouth shut for now, depending on how things go from here. Edit. After reading a few comments, I'd like to assure everyone that it is extremely unlikely that Zell will try anything suggestive. To be totally honest, I always got the sense that she felt like I didn't like her much. In the time she's been here, we've probably only spoken 10 to 12 times, and about half of those were just in the past 24 hours given the current circumstances. If she wants to make herself useful, I won't stop her. That being said, several of my women coworkers have expressed their disbelief and disappointment in how Molly departed so suddenly, and one even suggested that I do not eat food prepared by Zell. Moreover, two of the older ladies have even offered to make food for myself and the children, but I declined. The way I see it, if Zell is useful when I actually need the help, I won't complain despite the protests of some of my coworkers. Molly and I have been paying for all her living expenses. This is the least she can do. Update 6 days later. It's been a week since Molly departed, so I thought it would be a good time to provide a brief update on our situation. Molly's father broke his foot when he fell in the bathroom. Fortunately, the injury isn't too severe, and the doctors expect him to recover within about 8 weeks. The greater concern at the time was a cut on his lip, which caused pretty significant bleeding and understandably led to all the panic, especially from Molly's mother, who found him on the floor. I spoke with him a few times over the phone, and he seems to be in good spirits. For a man turning 88 this November, he's spry for his age and is pretty active, so I'm hopeful for his full recovery. Molly and I have also had several conversations. While she initially intended to stay longer to help her parents adjust, her mother has been adamant that she return home. In fact, her mother even expressed some frustration over how abruptly Molly left and suggested that I should have been the one to go instead. It's something Molly wants to talk about in person. Molly's return flight is scheduled for October 10th. At home, things have really been shaken up by Molly's absence. To be honest, this entire ordeal has made me more appreciative of all she does. On the plus side, I've been getting to spend much of my time with my 2 little girls, and this past weekend, I even learned how to braid their hair, though I admit I'm still not very good. Zell has continued to be very helpful around the house. She's an extraordinary cook, and every day we are treated to something new for supper. The ingredients she needs are expensive, but given the quality of the food and how much the girls and I enjoy it, I'm not complaining. Zell asked to use the gym equipment we have in the basement, and I agreed. This led to a conversation about how I used to work out down there, and she offered to occupy one of the other rooms during my exercise time. However, I've been mainly coordinating my workouts with when she's doing something else, so as not to disturb her. Zell's also asked me to look over a few resumes she's been sending out to different job openings, and I've gone over them and given her suggestions on how to improve them. I don't anticipate the coming days will bring anything too exciting, but I'll be sure to share another update if anything noteworthy arises. Update 11 days later. I regret to disappoint those eagerly awaiting scandal, but Zell and I behaved entirely appropriately during Molly's absence. Yes, I managed to rise above the incredibly low bar of not betraying my marriage in the few days Molly was away. I feel like I deserve a medal for such extraordinary restraint. Now, on to the boring update. The remaining days before Molly's return continued as per the new normal. Zell continued being helpful and attended 2 different job interviews and got 1 acceptance. Molly returned in the early hours of October/10, and things have been going well for the past few days. I didn't bring up the fact that Zell is still living with us for 2 reasons. Molly is still pretty concerned about her father, and Zell had been very helpful during her absence. So for those reasons, I was waiting for Molly to bring it up, and I didn't have to wait too long. Last night, Molly brought it up while we were getting ready for bed. She mentioned how she worries about Zell since, without a job or a degree, her chances of being deported eventually are higher. She then went on about how Zell couldn't return to her home country, since she was so accustomed to life here. This is the usual sob story Molly's been telling for the past 2-ish months. I mentioned helping out Zell with her resumes, and Molly was happy with that. She then told me something I wasn't aware of. For the past 2 weeks, Zell and Ed have been texting each other. News to me, though in hindsight, it explains a lot, especially given Ed's lack of progress in finalizing the divorce. On top of that, Ed has continued footing her phone bill all this time. The man's patience is on another level. Should he and Zell reconcile, I floated the idea of asking him to financially compensate us. Molly shot down the idea, but I can sense she wasn't entirely closed off to it. Aside from that, not too much has been happening. Zell's job should start in about 2 weeks. Once she starts getting paid, she'll move out. Molly tells me that Zell has already started looking into apartments.